I know you're not expecting to see me at this time of the day, but uh, Rox is off on a little vacation, visiting a friend in Myrtle Beach, and I have all the responsibilities of taking the doggy out. So that has to be done at a certain time, and that would be the regular time of the show. So, everyone most people who watch the show watch after the fact, they watch the archive. So if you're lucky enough to be here, or if you're dedicated enough, there's something wrong with you and you need your head examined, Amsterdam. Why are you here live? For God's sake.
Why are me and Brian here live?
For God's sakes, Mark. All right. So we do have Brian with us and Tony the Calf with us. So we are three strong cows, and that is important.
Well, two cows and a
centaur. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. All right. I wanted to start this whole thing with a couple of complaints. All right, this is the complaint department. The Atlanta Hawks shock Philadelphia en route to second Eastern Conference Finals in 50 years. I'm happy for the fans in Atlanta. That's a wonderful thing. All right. That's a great thing if you're in Atlanta. Yep. If you're in Philadelphia, it's the lay of the land. And you should all know that you just don't win dick in Philadelphia right now. And when you put a bunch of things together, it winds up the wrong way. And I'll tell you, the Philadelphia 76ers couldn't get out of their own way. I hated the way ESPN played this up, by the way. ESPN's headline, let's see if I can quote them specifically, and it's all part of the hype machine. Come on, where are you? Well, I guess I can't. They took the quote off, thank God. They said, Trae Young leads the Hawks to victory. It's like, what fucking game did you watch?
He was like 1 for fucking 30.
He was 5 for 23 from the floor. 5 for 23. Now, and I'm not going to criticize Trae Young. Anybody can have a bad game, bad time for a bad game, got away with it because it's the 76ers. And the 76ers blow chunks. Right from the beginning of the process to now, and it's only going to get worse. All right? It's only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Because now already one of the processees, Joel Hans Embiid, is not committing as to whether he wants changes around him. I will say this for Embiid, he did keep them in the game in the fourth quarter, which is something new for him. He didn't grab his knee and go, oh, my knee. Didn't do that. He hung in there. However, they're basically Joel Hans Embiid and Tobias Harris. That's what they are.
Yeah.
And that is putting a lot of pressure on Tobias Harris. And for every good offensive thing that Seth Curry brings to the table, he gives up more on the other end. He made Howdy Doody Ginger Boy look like God out there, didn't he?
Yep.
What's his name? Herder? Is that his
name?
Kevin
Herder. Yeah.
My God, he was backing him down. It's like, you're not even Steph. Get out of my way. I mean, my God. He's 6'7", and poor Seth is, 4'8", and it's like Seth Curry did everything he could to put points on the board. Good for him. But you're in absolute Deathville when you're expecting a rookie named Maxey to come in and basically he pulled it off one game, and it's like, we're going to give you more. We're going to give you more playing time, more burn for you, fella. And he may wind up being a good hoist him up, put up points quick kind of guard that we see in the NBA. But all of this is surrounded by the man, the myth, the legend, Ben Simmons, who is, in essence, the death of the process. And this, as if, you put all this together, you put Ben Simmons, Joel Hans Embiid, undersized Seth Curry who can't play defense, and Doc Rivers in a game 7. I mean, I wonder if Doc Rivers is just sitting there going, haven't I been here before? And before that? And before that? I mean, this is like Groundhog Day for Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
And he leaves the Clippers, and they're still alive.
And no Allen to bail him out.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes you think that he might be part of the problem. I don't know.
Yeah, Ben Simmons refuses to develop a jump shot, refuses to get better at the free throw line, is so passive that you can't win with him. You just can't. I mean, Curry's a nice player, Embiid's a nice player. Harris is asked to do way too much than what he can do. I think I had Furkan Korkmaz for dinner last night.
I warned you about eating
pull
Indian
the cork
food.
boss out of the bottle, right?
That team is just poorly constructed. I mean, Dwight Howard shouldn't be a critical piece in 2021. George Hill shouldn't be a critical piece in 2021. I mean, Matisse Thybulle is a nice player. Shake Milton's not bad, but you've got no depth. Got nobody that can score the fucking basketball.
That's the deal.
Therein lies the problem.
And
Unlike Phoenix, by the way. Thank you, Devin Booker.
And you want to hear something? It's like ignorance breeds ignorance, and the whole idea of drafting Ben Simmons so high when he never, even in college, ever displayed any ability to shoot a ball outside of 3 feet of the basket. Okay. It's like, oh, he's a freak. It's like, so's the guy who performs in the carnival. It doesn't mean that he's a building block for a championship team.
It would be fine if he was the center, but he's a fucking...
maybe they can substitute in the bearded lady to shoot his free throws.
It wouldn't be terrible if he was the center, but he's the fucking de facto point guard. Like, you need scoring from your goddamn point guard, and they're just not getting it.
Well, and worse than that, this is the headline, by the way, on ESPN. He's fearless. Trae Young's heroics came just in time.
Hey.
If he could have done it earlier, he would have. He was just having a bad day. Then you have everything kind of caving in. Post-game, Ben Simmons' remarks were almost as stupid as Stephen A. Smith's. Stephen A. Smith says, you got to trade Ben Simmons. You got to trade him. And it's like, okay, I'm good with that. He goes, and we all know that Ben Simmons is LeBron James short a jump shot. It's like, no, he's not.
Not even close. What the fuck's he talking about?
I mean, you think it's just a jump shot that separates Ben Simmons from LeBron James? How about winning culture? How about heart? How about guts? I mean,
that
Stephen
pesky
A.
thing
Smith,
called talent.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's and the desire to get better. Then, of course, Doc Rivers, after the game, tried to deflect attention from, isn't this like the 4th time that you've been stoned in a 7th game? he says, I'm not sure if Simmons can be the point guard that the 76ers need. Well, now people are saying, well, we're not sure that you're the coach that we need, Doc. So everything is suddenly up in arms and turmoil. All right. The other thing was Ben Simmons' comments, and they took them down. And I wonder if the organization begged them. It's like, please take that down. Take it down, please. He basically said, yeah, my offense wasn't there. I know I got to work on that. He was, at one point in the game, 2 of 15 from the floor. And the few shots that he was taking by the end, he just was throwing the ball up there. And finally, it culminated with what Embiid referred to as the turning point of the whole series. And that was going back in the hot tub, time machine, and when they picked Ben Simmons. No, he said it was with 3:49 left in the game. And I saw the same thing, and so did the whole wide world. The spin move by Simmons on the baseline, easy dunk, and instead he passes to a guy who is some rookie guy, Thibault or whatever his name is, who then proceeds to miss one of the 2 free throws, and then the Hawks go on a run. And that the total lack of balls on Ben Simmons is just, and he's dumb. I mean, here's the new thing that's coming out. Yeah, Philadelphia 76ers have planned for Ben Simmons. It's called U-Haul.
Yeah.
Mayflower.
Actually, the headline says Philadelphia has a plan to address Ben Simmons' shooting woes.
Mm-hmm.
Stop shooting.
Yeah.
Don't bother. And not just anywhere on the floor, from the free throw line, underneath the basket, 5 feet away from the basket, and, just hesitant as hell to even want to have his hands on the ball. So much of the time, he was just forking the ball over to Maxey or forking it over to Seth Curry and just standing there. Literally standing there. I mean, there was no reason. And then afterwards, when a reporter pointed out, dude, you just got done in a series hitting 33% of your free throws. Your shooting percentage was the worst of any player with significant minutes in the history of the NBA playoffs. And you know what the idiot Ben Simmons said?
No.
Duh.
Yeah, didn't you see how many assists I had?
God.
Yeah, that's why I say he's stupid. He's just not the sharpest knife in the drawer if he feels that way. I mean, for God's sakes. And I felt really, the Philadelphia fans had that Cleveland look on their face. Those fans were like, here we go again. It was kind of like they had gotten ahead, but they were cheering, but it was a lot like when the Indians were in the World Series, against the Cubs, and Rajai Davis comes up to the plate and hits a grand salami off of Chapman, right?
Yeah, Aroldis Chapman, yeah.
To tie the game, and everyone's like, ah! But then you saw a bunch of people saying, it's only tied.
Yeah.
You don't understand. They're going to bring Charlie Nagy back in. We're going to lose in extra innings. Bingo. Front seat. Bingo. Yeah. And that's the look on their faces, 76er fans. It's like, we booed Santa Claus, goddammit. They sold to us that Carson Wentz was our future, but we're too smart. We didn't buy that either. Nick Foles wasn't our future either. And I don't even know who plays for the Philadelphia Phillies, and I live there, the fans say. What is the point?
Yeah.
You know what the last big win Philadelphia's had?
The Super Bowl.
Well, besides that.
Rocky Balboa beating Ivan.
That's right! Rocky fucking Balboa! Adrian. Yeah, they put up a statue for a fake guy. That's how starved they are for victory. I'm posing, you see, because I knocked down a fictitious guy. You know, Carl Weathers, he's a really good dancer, you know? You just want to shake your head and say, boy, it's gotten bad in Philadelphia. One other thing that bothers the hell out of me, because it's not just Doc Rivers, and it's not just Ben Simmons. I mean, it takes an idiot to pay Ben Simmons, then they owe him $140 million more. Can you believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
How many zeros is that? You owe it to him.
How many players did the Knicks have to overpay for?
Oh, it just, I don't know.
I mean, so it's totally comprehensible to me that they would overpay for a mediocre shooter.
Well, I mean, it's not even a mediocre shooter. The guy didn't know how to shoot at all. And the thing that's funny is, why was the process? And they were saying, well, Ben Simmons was the reason that Trae Young had such a bad shooting game. Yeah, but it was also the reason why Herter went off for 27 points. It was also, you know, it's like if you owe a guy $140 million and he's just using his 6'10 length to kind of agitate Trae Young, it makes you wonder why the Philadelphia 76ers didn't see just a few years ago that every team who wins has a point guard who can score. The league has changed, you know? What's Ball's first name? There's LaMelo and who else?
Alonzo.
Yeah. You know, Alonzo it should have been the absolute warning sign, you know? Whoop, whoop, whoop. A huge alarm. It's like, yeah, we got ourselves a guy who can pass. And the guy couldn't shoot. And you don't hear about him anymore. Meanwhile, you've got a guy...
Are you talking about Lonzo Ball?
Lonzo Ball, yeah.
Well, it helps that they shipped him off to fucking New Orleans, which is kind of turned into the black hole of the NBA.
Right. I mean, you know, maybe they can tolerate what he did. Let's look up Lonzo Ball, what his stats are. And we know that he had trouble being in the spotlight in Los Angeles.
The Lakers are going to win the NBA championship every year because my son's on that team. Jesus Christ, shut the fuck up, you a-hole.
Lonzo is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. All right. In his rookie year, his field goal percentage was 36%, and it's never gone above 40. It doesn't matter where he's playing. Guy can't shoot. I mean, the whole idea here, it seems to me, having watched enough of this, is that if you play 5 feet off a guy and you feel confident in today's NBA that he shouldn't be in today's NBA, because the shooting is so much better now, league-wide, than it has ever been as far as guys who are just able to get their own shot. If you play a guy like Ben Simmons, who you can just stand 5 feet away from and just, you know, and I hate to say this, the same thing's true with Giannis. If you can just play 5 feet off and say, go ahead, hoist up a three. Number 1 pick overall. Hey, buddy, throw up a three. Let's see if you can do it. And he just clanks another one. You know, you look at the point guards, all the way to Chris Paul, who's old and is still scoring. And he's also assisting, by the way, Ben Simmons. I mean, and how many assists did I have? You had 13, and you had 5 fucking points, you dumbass. Meanwhile, Chris Paul's, doling out 11, 12 assists and scoring 28 points, And he's an old one. But why do you think Trae Young ignites the Atlanta Hawks? And he averages a lot of points per game. But he also gets assists. But he's able to create off the dribble. He doesn't pick up his dribble. He's always continuing to move. You start looking at the young point guards who are emerging in the league. They can all shoot. They can all score. You can't afford, with the way the game's played in transition now, it's the same reason why we say that there may have been a time when Kevin Love was a valuable player, but it ain't now. And it's not because Kevin Love's washed up, which he is. All the back injuries have just wiped him out. I understand. I suffer the same way he suffers. You can't do what you used to do. But even if he could, that type of player is losing favor in the NBA. An athletic shot blocker like Capella, you can have guys like that, but realistically, even a guy like Embiid who can take you down low, he can shoot the 3. The range of the big man has increased radically, and the speed to be able to clear out for him so he can go one-on-one with people. That's something Kevin Love really, unless you isolated him in the low post. And that doesn't work anymore because transition is such that if you pack everything into the paint and you turn the ball over, it's immediately gone the other way for a layup, automatically. Can't believe that they took Ben Simmons. Can't believe that in any, and the question then comes with the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's like, will Darius Garland be a great point guard? Only as great as his scoring ability one-on-one is, because he's a gifted passer. But you can't make any of those damn passes if they're playing 5 feet off you. It doesn't matter.
Makes you fine for the days of Mark Price, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. I mean, but faster, Yeah, Mark Price was a great shooter, but would never have survived to the NBA. He's not fast enough. He couldn't play defense, I mean, even anything that resembled defense. He couldn't have stayed, in pace with the game. Now they got guys who shoot like Mark Price who are faster than hell. They're a blur. The whole game's changed. And you watch this, and I just shook my head. I knew Philadelphia was going to find a way to lose the game. And they had a point where they could have taken advantage of things, and they didn't do it. There was that stretch where it was like 1 to 3 points forever, and the home team never seized momentum, and you knew they were just crapped out, man. And this
best impact. We actually don't like Lonzo Ball because he's an overhyped dud.
Yeah, and
who charges $15,000 for a pair of fucking shoes. Fuck that asshole.
Yeah,
Fuck that whole goddamn family. Let's put him on a fucking super tanker and sink the fucking thing off the coast of goddamn California.
Hey, if you can hype if you can hype your way into that kind of money, I don't know why anyone listened to the old man. He's an idiot. He's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But Rick, you bring out the vital point. He didn't even take a shot in the fourth quarter in 5 of the 7 games. Do you imagine having such low self-esteem? There's no place for that in professional sports. I remember when Kenny Norton, was seeing a hypnotist, the boxer Kenny Norton.
Yeah.
Was seeing a hypnotist. And he had that remarkable 1973 fight against Muhammad Ali where he broke Ali's jaw. And he attributed his success to hypnosis, that it calmed him down, that helped focus him. But I always thought to myself, there's something not right about Kenny Norton. And then I found out what it was. All you have to do is take a little side trip to Caracas, Venezuela, and watch him fight George Foreman. And you'll see somebody who didn't want to be in the ring. You see somebody who's like, okay, I lost. Let me find a nice little warm spot on the canvas to curl up on. Just flattened. Big puncher, if he was facing Ernie Shavers, face first. And in the first round, second round, I mean, it was like Frank Bruno was years later in England. Second he saw a guy was a big puncher, he was just looking to drop. Yeah. Simmons not taking a single shot in the fourth quarter of 5 of 7 games. I mean, you know, when you're getting punched in the face, if you don't have self-confidence, you shouldn't be in there, and you shouldn't be in the NBA, let alone trying to get into the Eastern Conference Finals with that. You can't do it.
Oh.
And hello to Stephen Rose. You know, I don't know. Stephen, maybe you can make him your bitch. Okay? That's a possibility. Ben Simmons.
You got the other team in the East blowing it up, the Celtics. You see they traded Kemba Walker over the weekend.
And you know, I never thought that Kemba Walker was dick for the Hornets. He's an undersized guard, plays no defense, and he's a volume shooter. He is not, you know, like Trae Young. He's not going to make anyone around him look better. And I don't know, the Celtics to me are like, it's all become very confusing. I was watching and reading about this, and they were talking to Brad Stevens, who's now the general manager. All right. Get his ass off the bench. We need him as the GM. He says that the Celtics made the Kemba Walker Al Horford trade to help stars Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's right. Basically saying that every move that he's making in his new role as operations guy for the Celtics, including trading Kemba Walker, it's all trying to maximize the talents of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Don't you think they should have established that by now on their own?
Yeah.
Well, if the Utah kid could ever fucking get off the injured reserve list,
Yeah.
he's hurt all the fucking time.
Yeah. I mean, well, the game is harsh, and if you come in with any leg problems, you're not going to be in the league for as long as you want to be. You know, and here's what Brad Stevens said: the ability to make our wings better is going to be a huge part of the people that will be around them. All right. And that's him saying, oh, please, Jason and Jaylen, don't leave me. Don't leave me here to rot. I want to go back to Butler. I want to go back to Indiana. So, you know, getting rid of Kemba Walker and getting Al Horford and his Walker. It's funny. They traded a Walker for a Walker. I just realized that. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? What a ridiculous thing. They've gone from Kyrie Irving, Mr.
The world
I'm hurt
is
again.
flat.
I'm hurt again.
And the
I'm
world
sure-
is flat.
Yeah, you know, I did my best here, but my best wasn't. But I guess my best wasn't good enough. And meanwhile, Kevin Durant is literally exhausted. I mean, the last shot he threw up that was an air ball, that looked like Bill Masterson, you know? There was no lift. I mean, the poor guy played his heart out. And, you know, and I would say even a guy like Harden is a guy who couldn't play at full speed because he had a hamstring problem. And I don't remember him in an NBA final. And he scores like mad. But I guess the way the whole thing goes down for me is there's so much more to the game of basketball than oh, he's 6'10", or oh, he goes this fast. There has to be an invisible quality. The teams that win championships have players who have almost mystical powers, whether it's the Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili off the bench, Spurs, and then bringing new players into the fold and teaching them the right way, or LeBron wherever he goes, or Larry Bird or Magic Johnson. These are transcendent players. Michael Jordan. Kobe didn't do it by himself, folks. He had to have Shaq with him. I don't put Kobe in that category because Kobe was too selfish. Kobe wanted to score points and be the man.
Well, and at the end, Kobe had fucking Lamar Odom.
Calby.
Yeah, I mean,
Calby.
huh?
Spinner Dave. Calby. Kobe.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think it takes a real special player. And for all the years that Kevin Durant suffered in a mysterious situation in Oklahoma City where they had 3 stars and couldn't get it done, they must be the only big 3 who all played and couldn't get it done. They became like they added a third to, Karl Malone and John Stockton. And it's like, oh, well, it's the finals, we got to lose. Or, got to lose, it's the playoffs. But he at least got himself a championship by riding the coattails of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and all that. But now Kevin Durant understands what it's like to carry the weight all on your shoulders. And give him credit. He gave everything he could. He did everything he could do. But when you're surrounded, when you're coming down the floor and you're exhausted, you look in one corner and it's Shamet, and the other corner it's Joe Harris. And, I'm going to shoot it. I'm going to shoot first and think about it later. But Kemba Walker to me was always just a volume shooter. It's like Colin Sexton. Colin Sexton doesn't have any magical, mystical qualities about him. He just shoots the ball a lot for a lousy team. And that's what Kemba did all those years playing for Michael Jordan in Charlotte. It's like, we don't got anybody, so I'm going to fire him up. There are many games where he took 30 shots at a game to get the points that he averaged. Not a clutch guy. He's a streaky guy. But no, he's not the kind of guy you put the team on his shoulders. So why the Celtics wanted him in the first place, I have no idea. I think it was because the whole Kyrie thing went bust and they had to bring in another name. And that's all he was just a name. So they're starting over. You could say they got 2 young wings. You got Jalen and Jason. You could say what you want. They're basically starting over. They're saying we got to find people to surround these 2 guys, and we got to hold on to these 2 guys as hard as we can.
Right.
Yeah.
How pissed do you think the NBA is? I mean, look at the potential final matchup, either at Milwaukee or Atlanta versus Phoenix or the LA team nobody gives a shit about.
Well,
I'm really hoping that the Suns can knock them out so that we have 0 New York teams and 0 LA teams, and they both can go fuck themselves in the ass repeatedly until they just turn into a giant fucking crater of self-fucking assholes.
I have to agree with you. I don't want to see New York and Los Angeles in it either.
Tell us how you really feel.
And I hope that the ratings for the finals are the lowest since before there was fucking television.
No, I hope that the ratings are high. And let me explain. The problem that the Suns have, and they got through the first game by 6 points, and it took a lot, and they didn't have Kawhi out there, okay? You got guys like Kawhi Leonard, and you got George, and you got guys who know how to do this. And that's the only thing about the Suns. They're young, they're impressionable, they're on a good roll right now, they're talented, but they may need a little more seasoning. I'm pulling for the Suns all the way.
Yeah.
And I would love to see the ratings jump to see these young, fine players. Now the Bucks, I don't know. I gotta be honest with you. I don't see Giannis as being this great superstar, and Middleton barely squeaked him through, but he had 3 of the worst quarters you could imagine, and he has a history, Middleton does, of disappearing in the playoffs, and he played through it, but he almost did it in Game 7. And I don't know. So what is it going to be? They got to hype Booker real quick, and it's got to be Booker and Giannis. That's the way the NBA looks at it. But I'd rather see it the other way and just see, hey, a team that hasn't even been this far in 50 years, it's like, Dominique who? I mean, the Hawks have been buried nowhere. I'd love to see that. I'd love to see the Suns and the Hawks. That would be the greatest final, and to have people watch it to prove once and for all that there has to be a tipping point in the NBA where people have to give up the ghost about these older names. And they got to move the league forward and market it. These guys, I mean, Booker, it was unbelievable. They said, how many games has he played? I think 340 in his professional career. I think
Something
that
like
was
that.
the number. And his first triple-double, because Chris Paul wasn't on the floor, he had to do it all. And he did.
Yeah.
He scored a huge number of points, 42 points, and he handed out double-digit, assists. He did the job he was supposed to do. Let's let these young guys have a chance and make their names, and that's going to build the ratings for the league. But if you continue to make calls to allow people like Giannis to get away with not working on his outside perimeter game or his free throw shooting or all the things that are wrong with his game, then what you're doing is you're just throwing yourself at the feet of mediocrity, of guys who aren't really trying to get better. Look at a guy like Booker. He came in 19 years of age into the league. Look how this guy's improved in a short period of time. It can be done. Those are the guys who are working at it.
Well, and that's one of the things that I said when I think we were talking about the Suns and the LA series. The league is trying to hype up these guys that wouldn't even be third or fourth options on teams from the 90s. They're really not great players, but they're being hyped up as, oh, they're the greatest things since sliced bread. No, they're not. No, they're not. I saw the human highlight reel play. I saw guys like Michael Finley go out, bust his ass, and shut down Michael Jordan for 48 fucking minutes. I saw it with my own eyes. I was at the fucking arena. You can't tell me that the guys that Giannis is so much better than Larry Bird or anybody from the fucking 90s.
Hey, Best Impact, tell me. I've always wanted to know, and I've never been able to ask somebody this. How does Djokovic's dick taste? Just curious. Some people just can't let go of an argument, We're not talking about this. You're consumed with this man love. And this, I think, is funny, too. There's always an LA team in the mix. The NBA had a hard-on going in. They had the Knicks and the Nets. They had the Clips and the Lakers. And it didn't work out that way. It didn't work out that way at all. I want some give Atlanta and give Phoenix. I mean, these are not small towns, folks.
No, we got about 3 million people in the Metroplex.
You don't need to tell me that. I was there years ago when it was already just totally. It's been exploding since the 80s. Let's face it. I mean, back, what did they used to call that down there?
Well, it's still the Valley of the Sun, but
No, there was a name for that southwest area, that whole area where people were moving, and I forget what they called it. I forget what they called it.
the Sun Belt.
The Sun Belt, right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, there you go. And they didn't tell you that it was like 150 degrees, but it was like living on the sun, not near the sun, actually on the surface of the sun. But yeah,
I
it's
can
been-
vouch for that.
Yeah.
We've
Well,
had
you
a
know-
serious heat wave where it actually got close to 120 degrees already.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it's crazy here. 92 degrees feels like 107. That's what we got outside right now.
Yeah, we've had.
No, that's Nevada, Rick. Area 51's in Nevada.
It's finally colder here, but we had 3 straight weeks of above 95 degrees here.
I mean, here it's, I was just looking it up, and I'll do it again here to see, because now it should be at least quieting down. Now it's still 92 degrees, and God help us. God help us. It feels like it's 106. I mean, can you imagine? Think of it this way. You have a UV ultraviolet rating of 11 out of 11. All right? So, and I'm sure Brian does too down in Phoenix area. All right? But the difference is he's looking at 100 whatever degrees down there. I'm looking at 92 with 63% humidity.
Well, I can tell you what we actually got a little monsoon action going on, so it's a little bit different right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's unbelievable when you have over 60% humidity to go with that 92 degrees. And the only good thing is the UV index now is dropping. It's down to 5.
Yeah, see, our air quality's in the yellow.
What's yellow mean?
Moderate to severe.
Ooh, that's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at all this. They're saying thunderstorms are possible at 6:30 here. Let's take a look at my radar. Hi, this is Dick Goddard, and we're doing the weather here for the greater Sarasota area. And we're going to take a look at what's happened and transpired over the course of the last 2 hours. And there's an inland rain cell that started, and it seems to be heading more northeasterly away from the Sarasota area. But, that's the funny thing. What they've got is this huge amount of rain that's just stalled, that's been causing grief.
I gotta have a Spaceballs moment for just a second. Everybody knows I like my Mr. Coffee before I look at Mr. Radar.
Yeah. Now, but New Orleans has been saturated, but we're going to see what happens here. It's all part of the reason why I'm doing the show early as well. It's like I want to get, even if it's hotter than Hades out there, I want to be able to walk the dog because I don't want to be walking in a goddamn rainstorm. Because when it rains here, forget about it. You're not going to do shit.
Unless you have a pontoon boat.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then there's this headline which throws me for a loop. All-star credentials for Ahmed Rosario, the Cleveland Indians sleeper candidate at shortstop. No. Ahmed Rosario is not a good fielder. He's an opposite field hitter with no power. And to be very honest, he wasn't even thinking of making the team in spring training because they figured the only way they could get him on the field was by putting him in center field. Then he misjudged 3 fly balls, and they forgot about that. Ahmed Rosario is as an all-star. Please stop it. I mean, I like him. He's done a nice job getting his bat on the ball. But if he is your all-star candidate, not good. And you know what's amazing? The Indians lost 2 out of 3 games to the Pirates.
Yeah, I saw that.
The Pirates came in having lost 10 in a row, and the Indians lost 2 out of 3, and they still gained 2 games on the White Sox, who lost 4 in a row. Then you start realizing what it is. The White Sox were running away with everything until they played Houston, until they played a good team. It's like they didn't win. They didn't win a single game. 0-4 against Houston, just like that. So that's what our American League Central is. It's shite. And any good teams that we play, if we have to play the Red Sox, or if we have to play one of the Rays,
Yankees.
the Yankees, yeah, and you'll see what we do against the Cubs. We get killed, I felt so bad for Cal Quantrill. He throws 5 shutout innings. And what a time for Brian Shaw to forget who he is. I mean, Shaw was like unbelievably bad.
Watch, he'll be the next one that goes on the fucking DL for 30 days.
Well, and you wonder, everything he threw was up. Nothing had bite on it, and finally a guy cranked one out of the park on him. I mean, there was no movement on the ball. Everything was, and his ball is notoriously has a ton of movement on it. I would be surprised with the workload that he continues to have, and over his career, this renaissance that he's had this year can't last forever. I did.
Cleveland
I
leads
can
the
never
league.
understand what you're saying when you're laughing. It sounds like this. Rick. All right.
Cleveland leads the league in Rosarios, Ramirez's, and possibly interpreters.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have Ahmed, you got to have Eddie, you got to have Jose, you got to have
Alejandro,
yeah,
Pedro.
I mean, so much of the league is like this. We, and these guys that we have coming in pitching, Mejia, he's one guy that we have in that had a horrible outing. That he did okay his last time out. But Eli Morgan, I never want to see him again. I never want to see him again. And the problem is, they're saying, well, maybe we finally at least kind of put a Band-Aid over this starting rotation thing with Quantrill, Mejia, and I'm like, I don't think so. You're going to put them against people who can hit. I mean, look, the Pirates can't hit. The Pirates can't field. And the Pirates scored 11 runs because of, that was crazy, that game. Brian Shaw comes in, he gives up a ton, and then they bring in Karinchak, and it's bombs away. Karinchak's ERA went up twofold in one appearance. Yeah. I mean, it's like, wow. That escalated quickly. Yeah. But I don't know. Ahmed Rosario is not an all-star. Keep your eyes on Karinchak, by the way. Keep your eye on him. With that illegal substance in his glove, I want to see if his curveball is as sharp breaking as it was, because it's all
It won't
going
be.
to take.
It's impossible that it could be that break that hard anymore.
Guy's got a great arm. Guy can throw up to 97 miles an hour, but that breaking ball, that's the 12-6, man, that is a wipeout pitch for him. And if he starts hanging that thing, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Because anybody can eventually, if they know it's coming, catch up to a fastball and foul it off and keep the at-bat alive. You got to have a second pitch as a relief pitcher, and especially if you're only going to see the lineup one time, you're going to pitch for one inning, and that's about it. You got that fastball looks huge coming at you, but that breaking ball is so important, and now they're enforcing the rule starting today. So keep your eye on that. It may be worth looking at.
Did you watch any of the golf this weekend, Mo?
No, but John Rahm, if anyone deserved a victory, there's a guy who did, right?
Yeah, especially after that bogus COVID fucking bullshit from a week before.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he looked like he was winning for sure, but he got the bigger win, and I guess that's what in front of his father to boot.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, really nice. The report coming out of Cleveland is that Sheldon Richardson turned down more money from the Browns to join the Vikings, Tony.
Yeah, I saw that. Kind of weird.
No, hurt feelings. Hurt feelings. I mean, that's the way it works. It's like what they did is Sheldon Richardson said to the Browns, I'll come back, but I'll come back at this dollar value, and gave the Browns the first swipe at this. And they held terra firma, man. They held the line and said, no, that what we've offered you is what there is. So he walked for less to go to the Vikings.
I think more playing time probably had a big factor too. I'm sure the Browns.
And I think just the whole hardball approach of analytics probably just turned the guy off. And I wish him well. I hope he does well for y'all there, because he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, hey, he's going to be a starter on our team, and he's probably going to play a lot of snaps. He might have not played a lot of snaps with, they probably want to get Malik Jackson a look, and they drafted Tommy Togiai, and, I'm sure his role was diminished, and, hey, move on and close the chapter of the book. So.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled against the NCAA. They were violating antitrust laws by placing limits on what they call education-related benefits. This whole thing is just crazy. They shouldn't be in college. They should be playing, in whatever minor league things and being paid to do so. I don't know what the waste of time is going 1 or 2 years to college. I don't understand what the point is, but I'm glad it's the correct decision that was made. I'm going to see how it's going to be enforced in the end, and players just getting screwed. Getting screwed. So.
Yeah.
Now, wasn't that also the likeness deal where the NCAA had been profiting off of the likeness of the players?
I thought that got resolved a couple of years ago when that came up. The whole video game utilization of players who didn't own their own names anymore. I think that was resolved years ago. But this is a completely different circumstance. They're saying education-related benefits. You really have to kind of look at this with a fine-tooth comb to understand what it all really means. Basically, 19 states have already passed laws in the past 2 years that rebuke the NCAA's rules and will soon allow athletes to start making money from third-party endorsements. Now, this is huge because could you imagine what Zion would have gotten? Because, there's always going to be a college kid who's going to take advantage of the ESPN exposure. I mean, he'll be able to, and he'll have an agent right while he's in school, and then go right to the shoe company right then and there. I mean, that's what will happen. Life is nothing more than a gigantic business anyway. And why not let the young men and young women make their money and if they are, and utilize the publicity. Look, I mean, that's really what Lonzo Ball and his father did. And he wasn't really very good. But if you can build up the hype and you can do it even more so with shoes and merchandise and all that kind of stuff, why not? That seems to be the way to get ahead in the world.
Well, the jersey sales.
Yeah.
If they get, even if they only got like 0.5% from the jersey sales, some of these, some of these college teams can really rake in the bucks just off jersey sales.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about something funny. One of the things I'm doing here, this house now is 22 years old. It's time to get a new roof,
Yeah.
And, I had the guy out here and he told me, gave me the estimate and all that. I got to pick out the tiles, but picking out the tiles ain't such an easy thing because what tiles do they have? What tiles do they not have? How long are you going to have to wait to get the tiles? The whole 9 yards.
Well, the other thing is, don't you have a homeowners association?
Well, that too, and you got to play.
So they
within
have
the
to
rules.
approve. Yeah, they have to approve whatever you're going to get,
Right.
and they'll
I mean-
probably give you a list of 6 that you can do.
So I went ahead and dealt with the guy who came out here and put 10% down, and I've been going through the brochure.
10%. What are you, Meshuggah?
No, but I mean, I've been tied up with something with this housing craze. We're putting the South Carolina house, the summer house, up for sale to see if somebody's dumb enough to offer whatever it is they're going to offer, right?
Right now would be the good time. The housing market's still hot for some odd reason.
Yeah, the real estate market hasn't died down. So I've been working intensely with a realtor trying to get the thing on the market, get the listing live, as they say in the business, and get it moving. So I had already put my 10% down, and, that was 4 days ago. All right. I get this email from a douchebag at the company. Hi, it's Sean from, and I'm not going to mention the company's name. Are you looking to get this project done soon, or should I touch base in a few months? And you know what it's saying? The title of it is regarding, in capital letters, smoke signals with my name misspelled.
Oh boy.
What the fuck?
I mean, so they have a thing running, and he forgot to take the RE off of it, right? And he's talking to somebody else, the guy who's trying to, who put together the thing for me, and trying to insinuate that in some way,
Shit or get off the pot time.
yeah, trying
Yeah.
to play hardball with me. And so I had a lot of fun with this, a lot of fun. I responded to him. And I will read this over my program. I spoke to Tom last week. I'm picking out tile. He said tile is running 12 to 14 weeks out. I will call him when I've made my selection. Thanks. P.S. Titling an email regarding smoke signals and caps implies we were having a conversation about how serious my inquiry was. I've been working with a realtor on listing my summer home in South Carolina, and that has consumed much of my time. I spent my entire professional life in sales. This does not motivate me. I'll talk to Tom soon. All right. That's what he got. And then Tom got something too. I received this email from, and I'm not going to mention his name. I've written to him my disappointment in the email. 1, the title in caps, smoke signals, which implies some kind of customer confusion or mixed signals. 2, questioning my desire to start the process and then asking if he should just wait a few months before recontacting me. 3, all this 4 days after I handed your company over $5,000 as a down payment on the roof. I've been working with a realtor the last 2 weeks. The listing finally went live today. I think someone might want to sit down with this guy and explain that selling is a fine art and there is no place for blunt objects to browbeat customers. Yeah. What balls?
It's hard to find good customer service these days.
My God, what balls?
Yeah.
Well, we got some of his money. Let's
Yeah.
see if we can just bust his balls,
Yeah. Like your best friends or some shit now. Yeah, I don't get it.
Hey, look at this. We have Violetta Drakowska. The Indians figured out they can make the playoffs. No, they can't. They're not going to make the playoffs. They're terrible. They are right at the precipice of a gigantic cliff. Take my word for this. I mean, you saw when...
Well, if that were only the case,
Yeah.
just shove it right over with
the
the
edge.
Nolans, the
Wile E.
T.
Coyote, yeah.
Right into Lake Erie.
Yeah. But, I mean, you saw Jose Ramirez get hit in the foot by a pitch, and he couldn't play the next day, and it was like, There's nobody going to hit on this roster without Jose Ramirez at 3. You saw what happened in the series to Ahmed Rosario. I mean, he doesn't get the good pitches because instead we have God knows who's Ernie Clement or whoever they put on the field. And no, that's not going to make the playoffs. All right. And because the Indians, this person is saying we're not winning championships anyway. It may be good enough to be 38-30 right now, but it ain't going to be that way for long because you have to start playing real teams eventually. So there you go. I'm done. It's 5 o'clock, and that means I gotta finish up and get out in that heat and take the doggy out.
Well, we made it an hour. I'm shocked we did, but we made it.
Yeah, we made it. This is my job. Scary, isn't it? I don't get paid for my job. Kind of like college athletes. Thanks everybody for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. We'll be back again. By golly, will it be Friday again?
Yep.
My gosh. Yeah, so we'll be back Friday, and it will be a regular 6 p.m. start time, as my schedule will have gone back to normal. Thanks for tuning in, and thanks, Brian. Thanks, Tony, for helping me out. And until next time, hasta la vista, Pastorheads.
See ya, Key.
Brr.
All right.